Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the 3 things that are must-dos if you want anybody to help you when you're diagnosing a chiller. When you're not doing these 3 things, you're wasting people's time, you're making them dislike you, and you're not actually getting the benefit that you were calling to get. Like nobody's going to be able to actually help you walk through the problem unless you are doing these 3 things every single time you try to call somebody for help. And you should be sending all 3 of these things in an email or a text message to the guy before you even pick up the phone and give him a call. If you do these 3 things, you're actually going to look like a professional. You're not going to look like an amateur. You're going to get some respect from the guy, and the guy's going to want to help you again. Most of the time, people want to see other people succeed. There's rare instances where they don't, but if you're wasting their time and you're making it very difficult on them and frustrating for them, they have enough stress in their lives as it is. They don't need any more stress added to their lives by you neglecting to give them the information they need to actually help you. All right, let's get into it. All right, number 3. It sounds basic, but there are thousands of different model chillers in the world. You might be having an alarm that is very specific to a certain model of machine, and if you are not detailed and you don't tell the technician that you're talking on the phone with that, hey, it's this model serial number, he's not going to be able to help you to the fullest extent, because when a manufacturer releases a new product, there's inherent flaws, just like anything that's new. Essentially, the first people that buy them are the guinea pigs. So what happens is, if you have a part that is inherently bad on all this model machine, if you call a guy that's worked on 100 of those and you don't tell him the model number, he's only going to have part of the information, and he's not going to know what to tell you or what not to tell you. But if you say, hey, it's this model machine, now he's like, oh, I worked on 100 of those. That's probably this. It's this bad transducer. It's this bad VFD, like gives you this nuisance problem, or the entire charge leaks out overnight, or the entire charge leaks out over the wintertime. It's really important that you give the make, model, and serial number of the piece of equipment you're working on when you're trying to get support. The second most important thing you need to have is a extremely detailed description of the problem that you're having. So for example, if you have a chiller that's tripping out on low pressure, if you just say, hey, this chiller's tripping out on low pressure, that doesn't give him any information. He has no idea. Is it tripping out on low pressure after 5 minutes? Is it tripping out on low pressure overnight? Is it tripping out on low pressure over the weekend? Is it tripping out on low pressure, once a year? I mean, there's so many different things that you have to be extremely detailed with. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to give you the information you need to actually be successful and actually resolve the problem. So in the low pressure example, say that the machine is tripping out on low pressure every morning, or every day you go out there, it's tripping out on low pressure. Now that technician might be able to tell you, oh, hey, go look at the trend data inside the automation system. The thing's tripping out is probably on startup, or it's probably on shutdown. You can look for trends. You can find problems that way. If you say, hey, it's tripping out on low pressure over the weekend, okay, you can do the same thing. What happens when it goes into unoccupied for the weekend? He can actually give you the advice that you need to actually dig in deep and help you with a quality answer. If you don't ask him a quality question, you're not going to get a quality answer. All right, we'll move on to the last one. All right, number 1, and the most important thing you need to do, if the machine is operational, you need to fill out a diagnostic log sheet. Most guys don't do this, but that is why they don't get the information they need, and that is why they sit there and struggle with a machine for 8 hours. That's why you have a technician bad-mouthing you. That's why you have somebody yelling at you on the phone, because you're wasting people's time. And you don't have a log sheet, you might as well just not even pick up the phone and call anybody, because he can't help you. It's a math problem, it's a physics problem, and without the data, it is impossible to help you. So you need to have a diagnostic log sheet. If you guys don't have a diagnostic log sheet, I do have a link for them in the description where you can download them. If you take the following readings, that should help you at least get on the right track. So if you sent an email with all the information from before and you include these things, it should get you on the right track. So number 1, discharge superheat. Essentially, that's just taking the head pressure and your discharge temperature and calculating superheat based off of that. The reason why that's important is because most chillers have an oil separator, especially air-cooled stuff. Most air-cooled stuff has some sort of oil separation. Even centrifugals, they require a certain level of discharge superheat in order to maintain oil separation. So if you look in a manual for an oil separator, it'll tell you what the design discharge superheat is supposed to be for that oil separator to work properly. So that's a very important piece of information. The next thing is obviously discharge pressure. That's a given. Suction pressure, you need to include that. You need to include suction superheat. You also need to include your subcooling, your entering and leaving water temps, and your condenser entering and leaving air temps if it's on an air-cooled machine, or water temps if it's on a water-cooled machine. The last thing you're going to need to give him is just if the system has glycol or not. This is important for approach values. So if you're working on a machine and maybe you don't know what approach is yet, I have another video on that. But if you're working on a machine and you have very high approach or somewhat high approach, and you tell the technician that you're on the phone with, hey, this has got glycol in it, and I already punched the tubes, I don't know what the deal is, I don't know why my approach is so high, that technician might tell you, hey, go look at your glycol percentage. Maybe some customer added what he thought was mixed glycol to the system, or he just added pure glycol to the system, and it's like pumping molasses through there. You don't got flow, you have suction pressure problems, you have really, really high approach, heat transfer problems, etc. Like, these are the most important fundamentals that you need to have, and you need to at least send somebody the information on this stuff. If you don't send guys all three of these pieces of information, they're only going to be able to help you half-assed. Nobody's going to be able to actually give you the detailed kind of diagnostic help that you're looking for. You need to be extremely detailed in your question, and you'll get an extremely detailed answer in return. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this channel, please like and subscribe so we can keep doing this in the future.